Hello students. Okay, today we'll say about the lymph and the lymphatic system. First of all, we'll see what is meant by this lymph. Okay, this lymph is it's a fluid, okay, which is similar to the blood plasma, and it derived from the blood plasma as fluid that's going to be passes through the capillary walls at the atrial end. Clear? Generally, if you see, it's similar to the blood plasma and it's derived from the blood plasma as a fluid. Okay, and which is going to be passes through the capillary walls at the atrial end. Clear? See, as the interstitial fluids, okay, it's going to begins to accumulate. It is picked up and removed by tiny lymphatic vessels, and which is going to be returned to the blood. Clear? See, that means whatever the interstitial fluid, okay, that is going to be accumulating, okay, that's going to be picked up by these lymphatic vessels, and that's going to be returned to the blood circulation. See, that means as soon as the interstitial fluids, okay, that's going to be enters into this lymphatic capillaries. Okay, see that fluid, once it is enters into the lymphatic capillaries, that you will call it as a lymph. Okay, returning the fluid to the blood prevents the edema and helps to maintain the normal blood volume and the pressure. Okay, generally, if you see, if the lymphatic vessels or the capillaries, which is having the lymph, okay, suppose it's not going to the blood circulation, so definitely will get the edema. Clear? See, that's why immediately from the lymphatic capillaries, whatever the lymph that is going to be present, okay, that fluids going to be okay, enters into the blood circulation, so that which is going to be preventing the edema. Okay, and not only that, it's going to be maintaining the normal blood volume and the pressure. Okay, see, generally the lymphatic system composed of the lymphatic vessels, and the lymphatic organs. Okay, these three includes the lymphatic system. Okay, first we had seen what is meant by a lymph, and next one is the lymphatic vessels. Next we'll go for the lymphatic organs, and in those lymphatic organs also we'll discuss about one of the most important lymphatic organ, that's the spleen, right? The next we'll say about the lymphatic vessels. Okay, it's okay, unlike the blood vessels, which only carries the fluid away from the tissues, right? Okay, if you see these kind of lymphatic vessels, which is going to be carrying the fluid that's away from the tissues. Clear? That means in the tissues, whatever the fluids that is interstitial fluid that's going to be accumulating, that will be taken up by these lymphatic vessels away from the tissues. Clear? See, the smallest lymphatic vessels are the lymph capillaries, okay, which begin in the tissue spaces as blind ended sacs. And whatever the lymphatic capillaries, okay, that's found in all regions of the body except the bone marrow, central nervous system, and the tissues such as epidermis, okay, that lack the blood vessels. Okay, okay, if you see inside our body, each and every regions of the body it's having the lymphatic capillaries except the bone marrow, the central nervous system, and the tissues. Okay, some specific tissues. Okay, that's like epidermis. Okay, okay, that's where this lacking the blood vessels. There will be this lymphatic vessels, and the walls of the lymph capillaries. If you see, it's composed of the endothelium. Okay, same like the blood vessels, which is also having the endothelium, in which the simple squamous cells overlap to form a simple, okay, one-way valve. Okay, which is forming like a one-way valve. This arrangement permits the fluids to enter the capillaries, but prevents, okay, the lymph from leaving the vessels. Okay, and the smallest lymph capillaries. Okay, all the smallest lymph capillaries are merged to form the lymphatic vessels. Okay, I told you the smallest capillaries, okay, smallest blood vessels, lymph vessels, you will call it as lymph capillaries. Okay, all these lymph capillaries are merged to form lymphatic vessels. Okay, these small lymphatic vessels join to form, okay, that's a larger tributaries known as lymphatic trunks, which drains into the larger regions. Okay, if you see this lymphatic trunks means the larger regions or the larger organs where it's going to be draining the lymph. Okay, this lymphatic trunks that's going to be merged until the lymph enters into the lymphatic ducts. Okay, the right lymphatic duct drains lymph from the upper right quadrant of the body, that is the thoracic duct. Okay, that's going to be drains all the rest of the lymph. Okay, like veins, here the lymphatic tributaries have thin walls and have valves to prevent the black flow of the fluid. Okay, sorry, backflow of blood. Okay, definitely there must be preventing the backflow of the blood. Okay, in the same way here also, to prevent the backflow, here they are also having some valves. Okay, there is no pump in the lymphatic system. Okay, like the heart in the cardiovascular system, here there is no pump in case of this lymphatic system. And the pressure gradients, okay, to move the lymph through the vessels, that's going to be coming from the skeletal muscle action, okay, and from the respiratory movement and from the contractions of the smooth muscles in case of the vessel walls. Okay, all these things that's going to be creating some pressure gradients for the movement of the lymph. Okay, see, that's about the lymphatic vessels. And next we'll see about one of the important lymphatic organ, that's the spleen. Okay, and if you see the spleen, it's a large encapsulated, it's a bean-shaped organ that's situated on the left side of the body and it's below the diaphragm. Okay, if you see the spleen, where it will be present towards the left side of the body and below the diaphragm, you're having this spleen. Okay, the spleen contains mainly the T and B lymphocytes as well as many phagocytes, and its major component of mononuclear phagocytic system. Okay, and see this very important organ, okay, that is the lymphatic organ that's having the phagocytic function. Okay, although the structure resembles that of the large lymph nodes, okay, the spleen that's going to be differ from the lymph node, okay, in having no lymphatic drainage, and also it's containing large number of the red cells. Okay, if you see comparing the lymph node and the spleen, this doesn't have any lymphatic drainage, and also containing a very large number of the red cells in case of the spleen. That's why if you see the color of this spleen is reddish brown in color. Okay, next coming to the structure of the spleen. Okay, it's a dark purple colored organ. Okay, which lies in the left hypochondriac region of the abdomen. Okay, between the fundus of the stomach and diaphragm. Okay, between this fundus and the diaphragm, you're having this kind of spleen. Okay, it's varies in size and weight during the lifetime of individual, right? And it's generally, if you see, 12 centimeters long and 8 centimeters broad and 3 to 4 centimeters thick, and it's weighing about 200 grams, right? And if you see, the spleen has a diaphragmatic and visceral surfaces. Okay, the diaphragmatic surfaces is in contact with the inner surface of the diaphragm. Clear? See, that means the area which is in contact with the diaphragm, that we will call it as, that is the diaphragmatic surface. And the spleen has an outer coat of peritoneum, okay, which is firmly adherent to the internal fibroelastic coat or the splenic capsule that dips into the organ forming trabeculae. Okay, which is also having one outer coat of peritoneum. Okay, which is very tightly or adhere, that is adhere to the internal fibroelastic coat or the splenic capsule. Okay, if you see, this is the structure of this spleen, and the spleen has a spongy interior, okay, that's called a splenic pulp. Okay, these splenic pulps are of two kinds, that is white pulp and the red pulp. Okay, coming to the white pulp, okay, it consisting of periarteriolar sheets of lymphatic tissue and with the enlargements known as splenic lymphatic follicles, okay, containing many lymphocytes. Okay, see, and these follicles, if you see, are the center of the lymphocyte production. Okay, see where exactly the lymphocytes that are going to be produced mainly in these follicles called as primary lymphoid follicles. So, they composed mainly of follicular dendritic cells and the B cells. Okay, and they are visible to the naked eye in freshly cut surface of the spleen as whitish dots against the dark red background of the red pulp. Okay, definitely if you see, okay, these kind of cells that are going to be visible to our naked eye if you are cutting the spleen. clear freshly. If you're cutting the spleen, definitely this kind of white pulp that going to be appears as a whitish dots against the dark red background of the red pulp. Okay, the white pulp forms islands within a meshwork of the reticular fibers containing the red blood cells, macrophages, and the plasma cells. Clear, see mainly this pulp, which is having the red blood cells, macrophages, and the plasma cells. Okay, next coming to the red pulp. Okay, which this red pulp having the numerous sinusoids. Okay, these sinusoids having the blood separated by a network of perivascular tissue, which is referred to as a splenic cords. Clear, and this consisting of macrophages and other site of phagocytic activity. Okay, this splenic cords, if you see, which is having the phagocytes means, okay, macrophages. Okay, this having definitely phagocytic activity, and not only that, they also having numerous lymphocytes, okay, which are going to be derived from the white pulp. And next one is the functions of the spleen. Okay, you'll see that is the main immunological function of the spleen is filtering the blood by trapping the blood-borne microbes and producing an immune response to them. Okay, and it's particularly because of the presence of the B cell responses clear to the polysaccharide antigens. Okay, this is one of the most important functions. See, like the kidneys. Okay, this spleen is also filtering the blood, but which can trapping, okay, the blood-borne microorganisms, and which is going to be producing an immune response, right? This spleen is formed partially by the lymphatic tissue, okay, which produces T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes also. Okay, the spleen is going to be producing these kind of immune, okay, cells, that is T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes. Okay, due to the presence of these lymphoid reticular endothelial tissues, the spleen is involving in producing antibodies and antitoxins. Clear? See, because of the presence of these reticular endothelial tissue, the spleen is involved in producing antibodies and also the antitoxins. Okay, in fetus, if you see, it's acting an important organ for as a hemopoietic organ. Okay, it also removes the damaged red blood cells and also the immune complexes. Okay, inside our body, if there is any damaged red blood cells or if there is any immune complexes, okay, that can also be removed with the help of the spleen. Okay, it can act as an erythropoietic organ, okay, which acts like a reservoir of erythrocytes or a reservoir for the blood. Okay, generally, if you see the spleen, which is acting like a reservoir of erythrocytes, generally most commonly, and those individuals who have their spleen removed, that is splenectomized, have a greater susceptibility to infection with encapsulated bacteria and are at increased risk of severe malarial infections. Okay, which indicates it's a major importance in immunity, right? See, that means there's a spleen which is placing that is plays an important role in case of the immunity. Suppose if the spleen got removed, definitely they are going to be lacking the immunity, and those individuals are susceptible to the different types of infections. Okay, that's all students about the lymph and the lymphatic system.